Hello everyone and welcome to today's masterclass series of AI in Procurement Session 1 Zero Latency Sourcing How AI First Sourcing is Slashing RFQ Cycle by 90%. I am Saurabh Bakal, Associate Consultant Intellect Design Arena, the moderator for today's masterclass. So before we started, please note, during the entire session, all the participants will be on mute. You will be able to hear the presenter using your system's speaker by default. You can submit your question to the presenter by emailing them to us or type them out in the chat box. So today we have Mr. Tushar Pal, Assistant Vice President, Intellect Design Arena, to take us through the zero latency sourcing in ICPX. So over to you, Tushar.
Thank you, Saurabh. Let me begin with a simple question for everyone joining us today. How long does your RFP process typically take? Is it 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or sometimes even longer? And during that time, how many emails are exchanged, how many documents are reviewed, and how many follow ups are required just to move things forward? Now imagine if that same process from requirement to decision could happen in under 24 hours. That's not a future vision. That's what we call zero latency sourcing. Because today, while business decisions are expected to happen in real time, procurement is still operating in delayed cycles, driven by manual effort, fragmented data, and disconnected systems. And the gap between speed and execution is exactly what we are here to address. Now, at Intellect, we work with global enterprises to drive digital transformation across critical business functions. With CPX, what we call as Intellect Corporate Procurement Exchange, we bring a unified platform that digitizes and streamlines the entire source to pay lifecycle. But more importantly, we are now enabling organizations to move beyond automation towards intelligence led procurement. So before we look at the solution, let's take a step back and understand the core challenges that most procurement teams face today. First challenge, which I can foresee as of now, is that catalog and marketplace inconsistency. So suppliers upload their product with errors, incorrect categories, wrong HSN codes, mismatch in the images. These issues directly impact buyer trust and delay approvals also. Second challenge is RFP creation. Now, creating an RFP is still a manual, time consuming process. Teams spend weeks gathering inputs from different departments, searching for past documents, and ensuring compliance. Third is vendor evaluation during the RFP process, of course. Procurement teams often deal with multiple vendors, each submitting detailed proposals. Comparing these proposals objectively is difficult and time intensive, often leading to delays and subjective decisions. And finally, supplier onboarding and risk assessment. So evaluating vendors requires reviewing large volume of data, financial reports, compliance documents, certifications, which is both resource intensive and error prone. So the problem is not just inefficiency. The real issue is that procurement today is overwhelmed with data but lacks the intelligence to act on it quickly. So this is where ICPX comes in. Building on this strong foundation, we bring you ICPX. It is the unified enterprise grade procurement platform designed to digitize and streamline the entire source to play lifecycle from supplier onboarding and sourcing to invoicing and payments. It enables organizations to drive efficiency, enhance transparency, and gain better control over procurement operations. With that, let's move ahead and explore ICPX in more detail. Our AI first philosophy is included in everything we do. We don't just adopt AI, we have systematically built into our DNA for all our offerings, making us the partner of choice for organizations ready to embrace the future of procurement. We have seen the challenges in procurement. The question is, how do we solve it? At CPX, we do this through a set of AI-powered expert capabilities embedded across procurement lifecycle. So let me briefly walk you through them. So first of all is the market sanity, which ensures catalog accuracy by validating product data, pricing, specifications in real time. Secondly is RFP content generation, which transforms weeks of manual effort into minutes by automatically creating structured, compliant RFP documents. Third, RFP evaluation, which converts complex, unstructured vendor responses into a clear data-driven comparison and recommendation for you. And finally, supplier assessment, which simplifies vendor onboarding by analyzing financial compliance risk data to generate decision-ready insights. So together, these capabilities bring intelligence into every stage of procurement, enabling faster execution, better decisions, and measurable business impact. So let us go through one on one that how these agents can help you. And I will also, like following this up, I'll also show you demos for few of them. So first one is market sanity and catalog intelligence. So the process begins on the ICPX platform where the supplier or user initiates the creation of a new product entry. So whenever we talk about a marketplace, so there are all the categories which are available, and under those categories, the vendors come onto the portal and they create their own products. This is the entry point for all raw product data into the system. So data input requirements is the first phase where at this stage specific product attributes are collected. These include product images, category type, HSN code, which is very important for taxation, brand name, specifications, base price, and offer price. Second is the catalog approval agent, where this is considered to be an automated AI layer. The agent compares and flags mismatches between the parameters. So, for example, it might check if the uploaded image matches the stated category or if the HSN code aligns with the product type. There is a possibility that the specifications which have been entered is not matching with the product type. So all these things can be handled by this AI tool. User validation is the next one where the AI flags potential issues. A human user reviews these catalog flags. This step ensures that the AI findings are accurate and allows for manual correction of any identified discrepancies. So, for example, if there is a recurring of this activity and there is an input from the user, then based on those inputs, even an AI tool gets mature. And from the next time we do, like the AI tool also flags that and recommends the correction also. Then comes the catalog enrichment agent, where the stage features a conversational AI agent that interacts with the user. Its goal is to further enhance the quality of the catalog by suggesting improvements or requesting missing details, ensuring that data is enriched rather than just accurate. And at last, we have the catalog submission. So instead of relying on the manual validation, AI steps in at the point of upload. So as I mentioned, it checks whether the product category is correct, whether the HSN code matches the product, whether the image aligns with the product description, whether pricing is within the reasonable range. All of this is happening in the real time. So instead of identifying errors and after submission, the system prevents incorrect data from entering the marketplace at the first place itself. So there is no kind of a validation or there's a time saving from the person who is actually validating that product with all this data. And the final step in the workflow, once the data has been validated by both AI and the user and enriched for quality, the catalog is officially submitted into the live system. Every procurement journey starts with accurate product data, service data, but in reality, this is where the first step of the problem begins. Now, let me show you how this works with my demo. For the market sanity, where as you can see,
This is the ICPX homepage, what we call as Intellect Corporate Procurement Exchange. Once we click on the login, then we can put our user IDs and password, select the role of vendor. This is a multi role based system where the different roles can be given to the end users, maybe for the vendors, for the buyers, or for the procurement specialists as well. So we will choose for the vendor. Maybe the organization is EA Enterprise. Log into the system. These are the options which the vendors will receive. We'll move to the product list part. In the product list, we'll click on the icon called Add Product. Once we click on the icon Add Product, then we have to select the type of the goods, whether it's goods or services. This portal deals with both goods and services, so goods is one of the option. Brand can be selected as Dell. Select category as electronic item. Now intentionally we have put the wrong HSN code 66, let's say, which is for umbrellas, non-umbrellas and walking sticks. I'll select that, click on add, then there's a product name or service name, Dell Laptop Fusion. As you can see that there's an option for E and US, so we also deal with multilingual options, so that is why that icon is there. Moving ahead, saving and continuing. Then we come for the product information part, where the user will add the short description, long description as well, and save and continue. After that, the specifications for that particular laptop, what is the byte, whether it's a 126-bit or 36-bit, save and continue. Moving ahead, we'll go to the SKU details. So there's a seller SKU ID which gives the what is the SKU ID at the vendor side, because we also deal with that, for example, if the vendors want to connect or integrate with their own ERP systems, they can do that, and there's a SKU ID which is inbuilt in the system. So our system will map the SKU ID with the seller's SKU ID. Then the vendor will give their base price. This base price and the offer price is also validated by the AI tool, that whether the pricing is up to the mark or is there any kind of error, because if you put 550 instead of 55,000, then also our system will be detected and give you an error on that. Then the pricing quantity. This is the pricing quantity, like for example this price is for 1 unit. How much is the stock available? Once integrated, this information can be directly fetched. However, as of now we are filling it manually. What is the threshold quantity, then how much you need to order, the minimum quantity. Then we'll upload an image. Now if you can see that there's an image of smartphone, so we are uploading an image of smartphone over here. Once the image has been uploaded, we can move ahead, save and continue. Then we have the option for entering the tax category, normal product, or search keywords as well, like for by which particular keyword this product should be shown to the buyers. So we put it laptop only. Item name can be only laptops or whatever name do you want to call it. Then the quantity can also be mentioned. Then you can see that there's an option called Catalog AI Agent. Now once we click on this Catalog AI Agent, immediately it sends you a result where it shows that what has been matched and what has not been matched. So as you can see, the first part where it says image validation. Now in the image validation, it is a mismatch with the description, because anomaly detection is that the image shows Galaxy M17 5G smartphone, not a Dell laptop. Apart from that, whether the description is matching with the category, so yes, there is a match. With respect to HSN, again, there is a mismatch where the HSN code for the computers is 8471, however, we have chosen 66. With respect to specifications also, as you can see that there is a mismatch, that image shows smartphone but specification is for the Dell brand. And then there is a match with the category, but there's a mismatch with the HSN code, that Dell is a legitimate electronic brand but doesn't manufacture under HSN 66. Then at last there is a base price validation, which I was telling you that the pricing is matching with the fair price and the base price, and the it also matches with short description. Once you click on OK, you can do all the errors you can remove from the system, and then you can resubmit. So this is related to the market sanity part.
Moving on, the second part is RFP content generation. Uh, so creating an RFP, this is where most procurement terms lose significant time. In reality, writing an RFP today is a highly fragmented process. Teams are searching through old emails or to find past proposals, referring to lengthy procurement manuals, checking compliance clauses, and coordinating inputs from multiple stakeholders. And because of all this information is scattered, the output is often inconsistent, require multiple rounds of rework. This is exactly the problem ICPX solves with AI-powered RFP content generation. Now, instead of manually building the document, you simply upload your requirement and the system takes over. Behind the scenes, what happens is quite powerful. The system first understands your requirement in detail, break it down into structured components, what we also call as chunks. It then pulls relevant content from your organization's historical data, past proposals, internal documents, and best practices. At the same time, it validates the content against compliance frameworks and policy guidelines, ensuring that what is generated is not just fast but also accurate and audit ready. All of this happens parallelly. So instead of a linear step by step process that takes weeks, you now have an intelligent system working simultaneously across requirement analysis, content generation, and compliance validation. The final output is a fully structured, consistent, and compliant RFP document ready to be reviewed. So, what used to take 2 to 6 weeks can now be completed in minutes. So, this is what we mean by moving from manual effort to intelligent orchestration. How the workflow works in this particular case is that user initiates an input. The process starts with users who provide the procurement requirement document, maybe certain lines or maybe a document, a Word document. This input is uploaded via the user portal, which serves as the primary interface for the human AI interaction. Then is the orchestration and analysis. So once the requirement is submitted, the AI agent takes over. RFP workflow orchestrator is there as an agent, manages the sequence of tasks and ensures data flow correctly between the agents. Then is the RFP requirement analyzer, breaks down the procurement document to understand specific needs, constraints, and technical requirements. Parallel processing of AI, what it does is that RFP content generator drafts the actual content of the proposal. Another generator, what we call as agent, what we call as RFP compliance checker, cross-references the generated content against regulatory acts and internal policies to ensure audit readiness. Then we have the knowledge integration, what we call as a knowledge garden also, EKG also. The AI agent don't work in the vacuum. They pull from an EKG, what we call as enterprise knowledge graph, that houses three critical silos: past RFPKB, learn from historical proposals, procurement manuals, adhere to internal company procedures, compliance rules and guidelines, which ensures legal and industrial standards are met. Final output and refinement is another agent which actually generates the RFP report, compiles the process data into a final report. Procurement RFP assistant is also there, an interface that allows the user to interact with the generated content for further refinement. The final result is delivered back to the user via the portal. Now we'll move on for the demo.
This is the requirement document. As you can see, that user input medicines is the requirement. Very briefly, we have given that procurement requirement field, your input, scope, duration is for 2 year rate contract basis. Mandatory technical standards should be the Drug and Cosmetic Act compliance, WHO certification. Item details, I have mentioned all the item details over here. Financial and commercial requirements are also mentioned. Evaluation strategy, that it will be an L1 per item base, and we have added certain comments also against this. Now when we move on to the, after logging in into the RFP content generator, this is the workflow which we follow. So when it starts, it will go in RFP requirement summarizer V1, which I have also shown in the presentation. Then there is a tool which is used for agent output to query. So whatever is the query, there will be an output. After that, there is an RFP table of content generation. So whatever is the table of content, that generation is there. And then RFP requirement analyzer, followed by a loop. Now this loop is a string to query where the test case generator, whatever the system is generating, those need to be validated also during the test generation generator. So it will check and it will merge all the output of that RFP. And after that, the RFP validation is done. With respect to that, the JSON file writer is generated and RFP generator V tool gives the output. Now to test this, the file which I have shown to you, I will actually upload that file, user input medicines, and run it. So once we are running it, it will show you that the execution is in the process. This is a back-end process. However, just for the demonstration purpose, I am showing you. The RFP requirement summarizer is being validated. Tool agent output to query has been done. Looping is done. Generate file writer has been done. And now we can trace it. Once we trace it, it shows that how many seconds have been taken to generate this document. The output is in the JSON file, as you can see, and the section 1, section 2, section 3 has been created. Moving down, RFP validation is there. Once we click on the RFP validation, this is the output generation. This is the output for the content, right, which has been written into the JSON file. Now when we create an actual document out of it, so this is the actual document where you can see that the RFP title procurement entity has been created. Then tender information, where the fact sheet that what will be the tender title, type of bidding, pre-bidding meetings if there are any, and then instructions on e-procurement and B-submission is mentioned. Moving on to publication and the transparency, and then the classifications. If any definitions and abbreviations have been used, those are also mentioned over here. General provisions, these are the test cases, as you can see, that what has been compliant and what is non-compliant. So the different IDs have been generated for the test cases with respect to the different with respect to the descriptions that verify compliance with rule E159E publishing requirements. All these requirements are given in the central government ministries documents which we have given in the knowledge garden, and based on that, what is compliant and what is non-compliant has been mentioned. In the point where the non-compliant has been done, no estimated to contract value specified to verify rupees 50 lakh threshold is the changes which we are recommending. Also in TEC05, the EMD amount and exemption details also reference to be specified in the bid detail sheet. So all these compliance and non-compliance are being shown. Then the section 2, introduction and background, where the objective, description, procurement approach, scope and flexibility is also mentioned. In addition of any item be undertaken through transparent process, including rate discovery. So these information are mentioned. Regulatory and policy work, which is also important, and quantity indicators and order mechanism. Moving ahead, a different text use cases for these have also been generated, in which what are non-compliant and what are compliant have been shown. It is your choice as the end user whether you want to include these into your RFP documents or not. This is information to the bidders, their pre-qualification criteria, if there is any EMD or a tender fee required. All this information is mentioned over here. Moving on, there's a milestone that when are we planning to publish the tender? What is the availability of the state? Then documents comprising. So these documents need to be submitted by the vendors mandatorily. Also, the text compliance for the documentation and whatever is the eligibility has been shown. And there's one more section for the eligibility and qualification criteria, where technical compliance, experience, and past experiences have been mentioned that these are mandatory to be given by the bidders. What all documents are mandatory have been highlighted, and the test cases for these as well. Section 5 shows the comparison. So, all this document has been generated by the system based on the smaller output which I have shown you earlier. Uh, and this particular document has been generated for, let's say, 40 pages have been generated over here. After this, the third use case is RFP evaluation. So now let's move to what is often the most critical and most time consuming stage in the procurement evaluation. Once responses start coming in from the vendors, procurement teams are faced with a massive volume of unstructured information. Multiple vendors, each submitting detailed proposals, often running into dozens or even hundreds of pages. And the challenge is not just reading those documents; it's comparing them objectively and making the right decision also. So in most cases, this process becomes fragmented. Different stakeholders review different sections, inputs are captured in spreadsheets, and decisions are influenced by subjective interpretations also. So this leads to delay, inconsistencies, and sometimes even selection risks. So with ICPX, this entire process is transformed into a structured, data-driven experience. The system begins by identifying what success looks like, extracting key criteria directly from the RFP. So every vendor is evaluated the same standardized parameters. It then performs an initial screening, filtering out the vendors who do not meet basic compliance requirements. This ensures that teams do not spend time evaluating unqualified bids. Next comes the core evaluation. The AI processes each proposal in detail, extracting critical data points such as pricing, technical specifications, service levels, and commercial terms. So instead of manually going through hundreds of pages, all the information is structured into clear comparison format. But what truly sets us apart is the final step. The system just compares vendors, it provides recommendation also. And more importantly, it explains why. So, for example, if it may highlight that a particular vendor offers better commercial value or a stronger compliance or a more balanced trade between cost and delivery timelines. This level of reasoning is critical because procurement decisions often need to be justified to multiple stakeholders. So the workflow we have, which has been broken into four phases. One is the ingestion and the extraction. So the process starts with two main inputs: supplier proposal documents through the bids when they are participating, and the tender document, which is the actual requirement of the buyer. So first agent is a tender extraction agent. So this agent scans the tender to extract specific pre-evaluation criteria, ensuring the system knows exactly what benchmarks the supplier must meet. Second is the pre-qualification and assessment. So pre-qualification is another agent. It assesses the proposals against the extracted criteria and generates a summary report. Then is the assessment of the proposal. So this stage filters the bids to ensure only qualified vendors move forward to the technical and commercial deep dives. The remaining vendors can be marked as disqualified also. Then comes the technical evaluation, assessing the vendor's ability to meet the project technical needs. Commercial evaluation is also there, one of the agents, which review pricing, terms, and financial viability. Generation agent, this agent takes the result of these evaluations and generates comprehensive proposal summaries on defined areas, translating complex data into digestible information. Then is the comparison and recommendation.
So comparison of bids, the direct comparison of the technical and the commercial scores of all the competing vendors. Recommender and reasoning agent is also there, which is the final intelligence layer. It evaluates the proposals against the core RFP requirements and recommends the winning bid. Crucially, it provides reasoning explaining why a specific vendor was chosen to ensure transparency and auditability. So, of course, it's all recommendation. You have to take a final call as an evaluator. Now we'll move on for the demo.
Tender evaluation agent, where the tender extraction agent we have landed on. Now there is an option to have a conversational AI also, or else we can upload a document as well. So we will be uploading a tender document and we will be validating that what all requirements do we have in this particular bid document with respect to pre-qualification. So as of now, I am showing you through the agent. However, it will be linked to the IC page, where you'll get one button only where all this pre-qualification will be done. However, how the system works from behind, I am showing you that. So as you can see, extract each and every qualifying criteria from the document in a clean format. That is what we are extracting. So this is the extraction or the requirement with respect to the pre-qualification. Now we will upload a document where the vendor's participation document is being uploaded, and whatever is the criteria in the bid, we are copying and pasting over here, and we'll press run. So the comparison with respect to pre-qualification criteria and the bid requirement is being managed by the system. So this is the criteria and the vendor's response, which has been highlighted over here. It can be in a tabular format also. Then we have this agent or a knowledge garden which is already available. We just need to get this information, copy this information, and we'll paste it over here and press run. Once we run this, it shows the input and it says categorically that page number 769 of the vendor's whole document list has this particular specification or the particular criteria. So this is the document which the vendor has submitted. In this document, the document can be of, let's say, 1000 pages, but page number 769, as you can see, the total pages are 2301. Page number 769 has this criteria. So the end user can also validate the same information through the document which have been submitted. So rather than browsing the whole documents, the vendor or the user or the evaluator can go to specific that particular page and validate that. Similarly, we can upload another document where the technical evaluation, not the pre-qualification, but the technical evaluation parameters can be captured. So all these line items are the technical evaluation, and now we will similarly upload a document from the vendor side. Multiple documents can be uploaded, and we can validate or compare the technical evaluations with respect to vendors also. As you can see, there were two documents which we have uploaded. One we can call as a vendor input from, let's say, X. Second is vendor 1.1. So in most of the comparison sheet, it says tie, but at point, let's say, weatherproof camera illumination, vendor 1.1 is showing the input, but when the vendor X has a non-applicability. So the system is suggesting you vendor 1.1. So in most of the cases, vendor 1.1 are there, or else it is tie. Some cases vendor X, like for example in this particular case. So this is the final recommendation, and the categories which we have is performance, feature, and compliance. In performance and features, winner is 1.1, vendor 1.1, and in compliance it can be winner the vendor X. So based on this, final recommendation of the vendor is vendor 1.1, which is highlighted over here. This way it saves a lot of time for the end user to actually get into a result about the vendor evaluation. Thanks.
So the fourth use case, what I wanted to discuss today is the supplier assessment and onboarding. So this looks at suppliers onboarding and assessment. This is another area where organizations spend significant effort. Evaluating a vendors requires reviewing like audit reports, financial statements, ESG parameters, compliance certifications. These documents can run into hundreds or thousands of pages. So manually processing this information is not only time consuming but also increase the risk of missing critical insights. But with ICPX, AI processes all this information and generates a structured vendor assessment report. It provides insights into financial health, compliance status, risk indicators, and operational capabilities also. Now, when I talk about step-by-step workflow in this, first one is the data ingestion, in which ITR details like income tax returns for the financial evaluation, PAN details for identification and tax purposes, and annual reports, comprehensive financial statements, and business performance data is being ingested. Second is the vendor assessment agent, where it extracts specific data fields from the uploaded documents, and the output is that it generates a vendor assessment report, a crisp, a summarized one, which summarizes the vendor standing based on the extracted data. This can also be customized. So, for example, there are certain organizations which want the data to be only that what is the turnover from the last 5 years, what is the whether they are passing about the eligibility of that particular product, whether the ITR was filled last year or maybe before that year also. So all that information we capture. Third is the risk flagging, where the workflow splits at this stage based on the agent findings. Then we successfully generate an assessment report, which has all the data extracted and a positive metrics proceed to the next step of diligence. Warnings are also there if the agent finds discrepancies, missing data, or high risk financial markers. It generates warnings, which is shown to you as an organization. These warnings are packaged into an automated email to ensure the vendor is notified of the outcome and any necessary action which is dependent on him. And then we have the vendor due diligence agent, where it performs due diligence by checking the vendor against a set of predefined questions. Like, for example, does the vendor meet our minimum liquidity ratio, or are there any regulatory or red flags? It produces a comprehensive due diligence and assessment report. And the final verification concludes with buyer verification. The final report which is generated is delivered to the internal buyer or a procurement officer who uses that AI generated insights to make a final informed decision on whether to proceed with this vendor or not. Now, talking about all these agents, we move on to the business impact of why we are talking about this. So, 90% of reduction means a process that previously took weeks now take hours. In procurement, time is literally money. Faster sourcing means projects start sooner, and the business can respond to market shifts instantly rather than being bogged down by paperwork. This transforms procurement from a bottleneck into a competitive advantage. Improved vendor onboarding. Onboarding is traditionally a heavy process filled with back and forth emails and manual data entry. But using AI agents to handle the document extraction and initial assessments, our team can focus on strategic relationship management rather than the administrative chasing. Then is the enhanced data accuracy. So manual data entry is the primary source of downstream errors in ERP systems, leading to payment issues, wrong orders. The AI acts as a market sanity filters at the very first touch point when the vendor is trying to input their products. Clean data at the start ensures that every subsequent step from purchase order to tax filling is accurate. Significant reduction in rework cost and massive boost in user trust. When the data is right for the first time, the user experience moves very seamlessly. Then is the transparency and consistency. So without a standardized system, decisions can vary based on which human is reviewing the file. So it can be biased also. Because an AI uses a consistent reasoning agent, the predefined compliance rules, every vendor is evaluated on level playing field. These there is a digital audit trail for every decision made, so mitigates legal and compliance risk also. But beyond these metrics, the real transformation is this, that procurement teams move from operational execution to strategic contribution. So let me close this one thought with one thought. In today's competitive environment, speed is not just an advantage, is it's a necessity. If your procurement process is still taking weeks, you are not just losing time, you are losing opportunities. Because while one organization is still reviewing the documents, another has already made a decision and moved ahead. So the question is, where do you want to be? If you like to explore how ICPF can help you achieve zero latency sourcing, we would be happy to connect and take you through a personalized demonstration. Thank you for your time, and we will now open the floor for the questions.
Thank you so much, Tushar, and all the participants for attending today's seminar. That was insightful. Now the forum is open for the questions, and kindly type them out in the chat box, and our speaker will address them. So, Tushar, we already have some questions in the chat box. The first question is, when the AI orchestrator generates RFP content by synthesizing emails and old manuals, two source documents have conflicting policies. How does the system decide which one is truth?
See, so AI tool is. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
So we use RAG. We call RAG is a retrieval augmented generation framework in which whichever particular document has been uploaded, or we also check the date. Like, for example, when was the document updated in the system? Based on that, the information has been captured, right? So the relevancy is already managed by the AI tool themselves. So the AI flags the contradiction. Still, for example, if there is a contradiction in that the dates are also same and there is very much of a similarity, based on that, the system brings the human in loop, and system asks the user that they can share their input.
Okay. Uh, then we have another question. You claim a reduction of weeks to hours.
Mhm.
Where is the human oversight in that? Does the AI actually makes the hour decision, or is it just a recommendation engine?
See, it's a recommendation engine. We do the heavy lifting is done by the AI agent themselves. Like, for example, data extraction, normalization, and the initial scoring is done by the AI. Humans remain the final decision makers. So the 7 day timeline is possibly because instead of a human spending 20 hours building a spreadsheet, validating all the documents, it can be done in 20 minutes by the pre-populated information in the AI.
Okay. The most enterprises have a massive investment in SAP or Oracle. Does the ICP require us to replace our current ERP, or can this zero latency logic sit on the top of existing data?
No, so we have an integrations available with the ERP systems. We have our open APIs. So we pull the vendor data from those ERP systems. We build it into our systems. Also, the RFP process happens into our systems, and the PO can be generated into the ERP system. So we are not trying to replace the ERP systems. We are just giving a connection, a plug and play with the ERP system.
Okay. Then the last question: does the ICPX handle services as well?
Yes, so even products, services, and most of the works, the contracts are also handled into the system. We also have a project management system where you can initiate the budget. So once the budget has been initiated, then there are certain tasks, the programs can be created in the system, and then based on that, the PRs work. For the services, even the complex services like hiring a manpower or maybe a pest control or like housekeeping can also be managed into the system. Even the payments can be managed into milestone basis.
So,
So,
for
for example,
example,
if
if
the
the
payments
payments
are
are
need to
need
be
to be
like
like
the
the
advance
advance
payment needs
payment
to
needs
be
to be
done,
done,
then
then
based
based
on
on
the
the
completion
completion
of
of
work
work
after
after
a
a
month
month
or
or
after
after
2 months, so those
2
can
months,
also
so
be
those can
handled
also be
into
handled.
ICP.
Thank you so much, Tushar, and everyone for joining. The questions are over now.
Thank you.